Sun is up in Austin. The coffee is hot and the tortillas are fresh. Welcome to this episode of Taco Tuesday. Let's get into the layers of your business before the salsa hits the paper plate.
All right. Okay. Good morning. I'm Brenda Wanta. This is Taco Tuesday. Kelsey Richards is here with me. And today we are going to talk about gas turbines. And what does that mean for our taco? We had a barbacoa this morning. So good. You cook the slow and low with lots of spices. You take something really tough and you make it into something amazing, which is really what happens when you make your MO process just perfect. It's something that's really tough to do, that takes a little bit of time, but when you're done, it's just perfection and it runs just the way it needs to run. So we're going to talk about what gas turbine MRO really demands from a business process in a software perspective and why so many shops are still running the wrong tools for the job.
All right. And I have to say, this is one that I think you have a lot to say about. So let's get into it.
Let's rock and roll.
Awesome. So, Brenda, what do you mean when you say gas turbine repair is a business process problem, not an engineering problem?
Well, clearly they already know how to repair the engine, and the engineers know what they need to do. But where the problem is not the know-how of how to repair the engine. The problem is in the actual process of repairing the engine itself. So the people that talk to us are operations managers, COO, finance leaders, not the engineers. They know their job. And what they're all wanting to do is to track where the parts are. Where is that asset? When will it be done? How much did it cost? How much will it cost? Will I make money on it? Those are all the things that companies want to know and the people that call us want to know. These are process and software problems, and that is what we solve. So the combination of things that you need to track, the customer-owned assets versus the assets that are in your inventory, vendor-managed repairs, internally managed repairs, all going through to kitting, being reassembled back together. Then you discover a new problem in the assembly. You got to go route it back through and track it the entire time, track your shortages, track your planning. All of that is really complex and different rules depending upon which industry that engine is going back into. So there's just a lot to consider.
Yeah. So walk me through that. What does the actual process look like when the engine comes in?
Okay. So the work starts before the engine arrives. The customer tells you what kind of engine they're sending, and you have a rough configuration, maybe with some dummy parts saying, this is what should come back on that engine. This is what's known to be on that engine, last known to be on that engine. Or maybe you've never had that engine before, but you have the OEM specs in your system, so you know what you think might come back on that engine. But as people who repair things know, when you open this thing up, you find things you didn't expect. Parts that need to be replaced that weren't in the original, parts that are missing that should be there, parts that are extra that shouldn't be there. You find all kinds of fun things in those engines. So you've got to be able to manage that. You've got to be able to document it. You've got to be able to communicate to the customer. You may need approval for additional work. And so all of this has to be handled. And right now, many companies handle this with a variety of phone calls and spreadsheets and walking over to department 1, then walking over to department 2, and then re-emailing, and that's how it looks. So if you're in a shop doing 20 engines across 3 different industries, you simply can't grow that way. You need a system that's built to handle a work order that is a living document, not a static transaction.
Gotcha. So you mentioned 3 separate industries. What's the difference managing this across aviation versus power generation versus oil and gas? Like, I just want to
Yes.
understand, why are they not the same?
Yeah, that's a great question, Kelsey. So in aviation, documentation is everything. You've got to make that FAA 8130, and that means you got to know where everything came from, where it went, how it's used, when it was used, when it's replaced, etc. So you got to know every bit of that. Then also, if you're looking at power generation, that driver for power generation is availability. The customer has a power purchase agreement. They've committed to delivering electricity. A turbine that is down for repair is not generating revenue. So the business question is, how do we communicate proactively about timing and how do we manage the work so that every delay is serviced and addressed before it compounds? Then when you get to oil and gas, their driver's the maintenance window. Their customers plan their repair around their production schedule. The platform or pipeline has a window where the work can happen, and that window does not move. So if the repair is not complete when the window closes, that engine does not go back in, the platform does not restart, and you're having a very difficult conversation with a very unhappy customer. This process is to be managed against a hard deadline that's completely outside the shop's control.
So 3 industries and 3 completely different things that the customer's counting you for.
Yeah.
Or counting on you for. Yep.
Yep. And you got one shop that's typically managing at least two out of those three, sometimes simultaneously, in a system that treats every work order the same way. This is where it breaks down, not because people are doing it wrong, because the system is not built for the variation. A generic ERP sees a work order. Epiphany sees a customer-owned asset moving through a defined process with component-level tracking, documenting the requirements, customer-specific communication rules, and a deadline that has real business consequence if it moves. These are not the same thing.
Hey, Brenda, I would like to ask a question that I think a lot of operation leaders are sitting with. They know their current system isn't built for what they're describing, and they've been running on it for 5+ years. They have workarounds, and they have people who know where the bodies are buried. The thought of changing this feels impossible. So what would you say to them?
I say, tell me about your workarounds. Because here's what I have found consistently in pretty much every shop that has been running a mismatch system for a long time, the workarounds are not free. They just look free because no one has counted the cost. There is a spreadsheet. There's actually spreadsheets that live on many people's desktop or shared drive that a couple of people know the password to, and they're the real source of truth for the job status, not the system, the spreadsheet. And when that person leaves, and they will leave, everyone leaves eventually, they take the context with them, and the shop spends months trying to figure out what they actually knew. This is not a minor inconvenience. This is a business continuity risk sitting inside a file called something like engine tracker v4 final.xlsx.
I could have seen that file.
Exactly. Everybody has seen that file, and nobody wants to be the person to say it out loud because that file represents years of work by someone who cared enough to build it when the system couldn't do the job. And that file is also evidence of the problem. Every row in that spreadsheet is a process that should be handled and is not handled. Every column is a data point that should be in the system and isn't. The spreadsheet's not the solution. The spreadsheet is the symptom.
Another path I see people take is the shops. They tried to solve it by customizing their existing system. What are your thoughts on that direction?
It's a more expensive path and usually ends up in the same place as a spreadsheet eventually, and here's why. Customizing a generic system to handle MRO is a project that never ends. You solve one problem and it surfaces three more. The work order can now track customer inventory, but the document requirements aren't met. You fix the documentation, but now the shortage management doesn't work. You fix the shortage management, and now the NetSuite upgrade is a problem because something in your custom build breaks. You're now in the business of maintaining your customization, not running your operation. You've talked yourself into being a software company that you probably didn't want to be. I believe you wanted to repair engines. So I've talked to shops that have more than one full-time person whose job is essentially keeping these full-time custom NetSuite from falling apart. That's a headcount that you didn't budget for and a problem that you created for yourself. Purpose-built is not a marketing term. It means that somebody already solved the hard problems: customer-owned inventory, component-level tracking, multi-step work order management, documentation that's required at each step rather than assembled at the end. You are not starting from scratch. Barbacoa has been stewing and brewing and becoming delicious this whole time. You just have to know that it exists and go get a bowl or taco.
Sounds delicious. What's the first conversation you have with a shop that is ready to look at making a change?
I ask them 3 questions. Can you tell me right now the exact status of every customer-owned asset in your facility? Where it is, what's been done to it, what needs to be done next? Can you tell me at the end of a job exactly what it costs, the labor, the parts, the outside services, without doing a manual reconciliation? And finally, when a customer calls saying where is their asset and when will they get it back, does your team have that answer in under 60 seconds? Let's say under 5 minutes. If the answer to any of those is not without digging, that is a gap. The gap is costing time and is costing customer trust. And customer trust in the MRO is a thing that renews contracts. You can have a great engineering team and an excellent technical representation and still lose a customer because the business process made them feel like nobody was watching their asset. The barbacoa takes time, heat, and the right conditions. So does building a process that your customers can feel confident about. The question is whether you're going to build on a foundation that was designed to work for it or keep trying to make it work in a system that wasn't. All right. So here's what we covered today. Gas turbine repair is a business process problem, not an engineering problem. The question is not how the engine works. The question is, how do you manage all the assets through a complex, changing work process, document it properly, communicate proactively, and return it on time? That process does not sit inside a system that treats every work order the same. Aviation, power generation, oil and gas all have a different business driver, traceability, availability, maintenance windows, and the process has to reflect the customer's world, not just the shop's world. Workarounds are not free. The spreadsheet is a symptom. Customizing a generic system on a project that never ends leaves you maintaining your customization instead of running your operation. The 3 questions that tell you whether or not you have a gap. Can you see your customer on inventory, every customer on inventory asset right now? Do you know where it is? Do you know what state it's in? Can you close a job without manual reconciliation? Can you answer a customer call in 60 seconds and tell them exactly when they're going to get it back? If you want to have that conversation and look honestly at where your current process is costing you, give us a call. We're right here. The link is right there.
Awesome. Maybe over a barbacoa.
Always over barbacoa. Life is short, tech is complicated, but tacos never should be. See you at the next taco stand.
Can you hear my cat? Get over here, Lucky.
Hello. Well, sounds like what it said.
Funny. You should just go lay down somewhere. I gotta put you in a little pouch. Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh, I can't see the countdown. Where's the countdown? Do I just start? Because we've been
I think you just start because we're already recording.
All right. Okay. Good morning. I'm Brenda Wanta.
Might have to redo that section, Brenda, because I heard Keith doing dishes.
That sucks. Okay.
It sounded great though.
That's why I was afraid. I saw him walk in. I was like, walk back out. All right. I'll wait.
Do we need one of those lights that they have in like the radio stations that like when it's on, it's bright red and it says live?
Yeah, that's
for any of our customer calls or anything.
Yeah. With all my open doors in here, I don't know. I need 2 of them. I need a button to make it go. I don't know. It sounds like fun.